The BMW X1 enters its third generation for the 2023 model year. It obviously gets fresh new styling and it's grown quite a bit in size. In fact, this new car is roughly the same size as the very first BMW X3 way back in the mid-2000s. But are the new looks and the bigger proportions enough to keep this X1 ahead of its current competitors, namely the Mercedes-Benz GLB250 and the Volvo XC40? Let's go for a drive and find out. The BMW X1 is still available with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and at the time that I'm filming this video right now, only the 28 version is available. Undoubtedly, later on there will be an M35 version with at least 300 horsepower, but for the time being, it's just this 28. And this 2-liter turbo engine produces 241 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. All in all, this is a pretty peppy engine. There's enough low-end torque to get you around town and to get you going off a line, and it just keeps pulling right up to the red line. Unfortunately, this engine doesn't sound all that great. In fact, it doesn't really make any noises. Most of the sound that you hear inside the car is from the speakers. It's all augmented. I'm sure that the M35 version of this car, whenever it comes out, will probably sound a little bit better than this one. This engine is also decently fuel efficient. That is, if you drive mostly on highways. In a city, it is rated for 9.6 liters per 100 kilometers, and on highways, it's rated for 7 liters per 100 kilometers. However, I've been doing about 60-40 city highway driving so far this week, and I've been averaging roughly 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers, so right in the middle of those fuel economy numbers. This turbo engine is paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Now, for the most part, when the car is actually moving, you don't really notice this transmission because it does its job really well. Shifts are nice and smooth. But when you try to set off from a stop, that's when the transmission feels a little bit hesitant. So you take your foot off the brake pedal and you gently apply your foot on the throttle, and for like a first second, nothing really happens. So then you think to yourself, let's apply a bit more throttle. And then the clutch immediately grabs and you get that knee-jerk reaction from the car. It's very uncomfortable. Now, with a little bit of finesse and patience, you can get used to this characteristic of the transmission. However, this is much more noticeable when you also include the auto start-stop system, especially when you arrive at a stop and then immediately want to set off again. There's a good 2-second delay between the time that you come to a complete stop and the time that the car starts to get going again. And speaking of the auto start stop, I was going to talk a little bit about it in the ride comfort section of this review, but I'll just mention it right now. I have read that other auto journalists have said that it's quite jerky, but it doesn't really feel that jerky to me. I've definitely been in cars that have worse auto start stop systems than this one. But again, it's just that delay from the time that you stop the car to the time that you want it to go again. It's not instant, let's just say that. And it can become frustrating at times. Also, if you don't like the auto start stop, unfortunately, there is no quick way to turn it off. There's no quick access button anywhere here on the center console or on the dashboard or anywhere. You have to dig through the infotainment system. And then every time that you shut off the car and then start it up again, the system resets. On the handling front, although the BMW X1 does not have the rear biased all-wheel drive system of its X3 and X5 bigger brothers, it still is a fun and engaging compact crossover to drive. Even with the snow tires that this demo vehicle still had equipped, the car had enough grip around corners. It feels agile and stable through turns, with mid-corner bumps not disturbing the balance too much. You can also option the X1 xDrive28i with adaptive M suspension and summer tires for increased grip and control. Compared to the Mercedes GLB and Volvo XC40, this still remains as one of the most fun to drive of the three. This being a BMW vehicle, the ride is a little bit more firm than the ride of the Mercedes GLB 250 or the Volvo XC40. However, by no means is this really rough and just a horrible ride. You can comfortably take this car on long family road trips on those really rough concrete highways, or just go to and from work on a poorly maintained city street, and you'll still be comfortable and you're not going to feel tired or fatigued at the end of your trip. For the type of car that this is, the ride is more than acceptable, and again, you will be comfortable at the end of your journey. And finally, for noises inside the cabin, engine noise, you barely hear it unless you put your foot down, of course. Wind noise is pretty much non-existent, and road noise from the tires is kept in check, which is quite impressive considering that this car still has winter tires on it. Yes, it's the last week of June right now. Temperature is 24 degrees outside, and it still has winter tires. The 2023 X1 is larger than its predecessor in every dimension. The larger size equates to more passenger space across both rows of seats. The front occupants are treated to a lot of space, with the X1 providing more headroom than the GLB and XC40. Behind the front seats, of course, I am a bit too tall for a vehicle like this. There is an indentation in the back of the driver and passenger seats for your knees, but it's made out of hard plastic instead of soft leather. My knees did feel a bit squished behind my above average height of 6'4". The GLB has slightly more legroom and the XC40 has slightly less than this X1. Headroom is on the tight side in these back seats as well, but the backrest can recline for a bit more space. And behind the seats, the 2023 X1 can accommodate 727 liters of space and 1,619 liters of space with the second row seats folded. There is a bit of storage underneath the trunk floor, and the power liftgate has a lock button as well. The 2023 BMW X1 is not an outrageously expensive luxury crossover SUV. For the size of the car, the performance that it comes with, and the space that it provides, it has a reasonable base price. It starts at $45,800 Canadian, which is right in between the starting prices of the less expensive XC40 B4 and the more expensive GLB 250. But you can option the 2023 X1 well into the $60,000 range with extras. This demo vehicle was not fully loaded, so the as-equipped price was $53,195 Canadian. As an entry-level luxury crossover SUV, the BMW X1 has quite a few convenience features already equipped. These include LED headlights, dual digital displays including BMW OS 8 with navigation, dual-zone automatic climate control, adaptive cruise control, and parking assistant. This system will record the last 50 meters or so of any forward movement and then perfectly replicate it while reversing. This makes getting out of tight parking spots a breeze. The only optional package that this car really needs, in my opinion, is the Premium Essential package for $3,400 Canadian. It includes comfort access, heated front seats, heated steering wheel, a panoramic sunroof, wireless phone charging pad, and an auto-dimming rear-view mirror with folding exterior mirrors. The rest of the interior looks really nice. I particularly like the floating console design. However, from the passenger side, it doesn't appear to be floating due to the pillar on the front. The materials are typical for this class of vehicle, mostly soft plastics across the dash, harder plastics on the lower portions of the doors, and leatherette upholstery for the seats. All in all, it looks pretty good and feels okay to the touch. And finally, the 2023 BMW X1 received a Top Safety Pick Plus award from the IIHS. It received good scores for crash tests and superior scores for the advanced safety systems. So what else can I say about the new BMW X1? It's pretty fun to drive for the type of vehicle that it is. It's plenty spacious on the inside for a small family. It has a reasonable starting price for an entry-level BMW crossover SUV. Just don't go crazy on the options list. And it's not that bad looking. That's something that you can't say about other BMW vehicles now in 2023. My biggest complaint with this car has to do with the transmission, but as I said earlier in the video, if you have a bit of finesse and a little bit of patience, you can get used to it. So all in all, this is a great little car and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. If you'd like to know more about this 2023 BMW X1, I have a written review with a few more details about it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner right up there. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or most likely another SUV. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.